water and plastic consumption in a more circular manner. Due to unprecedented flooding and glacial lake outburst flood events in the recent past, Pakistan has started taking steps to develop robust early warning systems, flood forecasting, and drought monitoring in the country. The example of one of our northernmost provinces, which was largely unaffected from recent floods because of timely warnings and aggressive evacuation campaigns, is a case in point. To promote the country's transition to cleaner, lower emissions and ensure that the country is on carbon neutrality pathways, Pakistan has started to take a major leap towards decarbonization of the energy sector by changing the energy mix through increased focus on renewables, particularly solarization of all government and federal buildings, which is a particular initiative of the Prime Minister. Moreover, down south, we have demonstrated a huge rise in our mangrove forest cover, a 300% since 1990, which is incidentally a global target and a global record, and a significant step towards sequestering carbon and decarbonizing and restoring about 350,000 hectares over the period of 60 years in the Indus Delta, which has a potential of sequestering 127 million tons of the CO2 equivalent. The country's water resources are also under a reimagination because water and food security are inextricably linked, not just for the entire human race, but for countries struggling on what I call the ground zero of climate change. Ladies and gentlemen, let me give you a quick rundown of some of the key climate change initiatives that we are taking in Pakistan. One of these is one of our landmark programs called the Glacial Lake Outburst Flood Project. It is under implementation to mitigate the impacts of GLOF events through the development of early warning systems, as I told you, and by preparing communities to reduce the risks of the rising challenges of such events. We are also now on our way towards managing and implementing a national hazardous waste management policy, which was introduced last year. It is a milestone achievement in addressing the pollution crisis of hazardous waste in Pakistan and enabling the country to play a responsible role in meeting our commitments under international agreements such as the Basel Convention on the control of transboundary movements of hazardous waste and their disposal. Pakistan is also in the last stages of introducing plastic regulations at the federal level to reduce plastic consumption, irresponsible consumption, and of course to reduce plastic waste and introduce a more circular economic cycle into our consumption patterns. And I would consider later on that we all talk about cooperation in this particular sector as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we are also on our way to launching, and not just launching, but in the middle of a new national parks and expansion of protected areas initiative, which aims to conserve and promote nature-based solutions for environmental sustainability and climate resilience. We have created 5,000 green jobs for indigenous communities in the protected areas, and under this initiative, the number of national parks home to wildlife of global importance has increased from 30 to 45, which is 12 to 15% over and above our targets, bringing an estimated 7,500 square kilometers of land under protection. You may have also seen videos of the famous, once and very endangered snow leopard reappear in our mountain areas, and that is due to the success of our programs. The Clean Green Pakistan program has also been one of our flagship initiatives that includes extensive work on environmental conservation and strengthening city and local governments under a performance-based framework for water, sanitation and hygiene. The Green Pakistan program also is one that is an acclaimed major reforestation and conservation initiative begun in 2016-17 across Pakistan, which aims to plant over 10 billion trees and restore 1 million hectares of degraded forests. Under this initiative, 2.03 billion trees have been planted so far, which has a carbon sequestration potential of 148 million tons of CO2 equivalent. We have also been promoting climate smart agriculture under the UN Food and Agriculture Program, or rather with their support in desertified and drought-hit areas to enhance the sustainability of the agriculture sector in arid areas and secure farm-related jobs and livelihoods. Lastly, we have also begun a Living Indus initiative, which is transforming the Indus River into a thriving system by repairing and restoring the natural resources and ecosystems that need to be resilient in the face of aggressive climate change. So with these words, ladies and gentlemen, let me bring you to some of the proposals that we suggest for moving forward with the cooperation of member states in this forum. As I said, the SCO is of vital importance, as are all international and regional forums, to changing the dynamics or changing the deleterious impacts of climate change, simply because climate change knows no boundaries, as you know. So I would like to propose a few specific actions for consideration in the forum with your permission, Chair. First of all, we suggest a technical working group which may be established to closely work on the issues of rising air pollution and smog through exchange of information and best practices that we have been talking about to bring about the challenge. And with this, I would like to inform the forum that Pakistan has also initiated the National Clean Air Policy this year, which provides a framework for improving air quality. We would be happy to change it at this forum at the working level with all members to reduce the impacts of air pollution that is now transforming the life experiences and the mobility and mortality of all citizens in this region, especially in the winter months when we now have something called a fifth season called smog. The forum may also like to explore opportunities for capacity building and knowledge sharing, which some members have already spoken about, by engaging leaders in the fields of environment and climate change and establishing networks of universities, think tanks, and relevant public sector stakeholders. Thirdly, the forum may also develop a regional framework for ecosystem restoration, devise joint regional initiative, and explore ways and means for mobilizing financial resources for their implementation. As you know, this is vital to actually attaining goals, and this could lead towards broader ambitions, towards realizing broader ambitions on tackling our region's egregious biodiversity loss. We would also like to the forum to consider the development of regional carbon market mechanisms under the auspices of the SPO, which could lead to the creation of emissions trading schemes and crediting mechanisms. This will make us a leader in the field, and it would be worthwhile to start working on this. Also, we would like to consider you to consider a regional climate financing mechanism in tandem with multinational funding mechanisms such as the recently created Loss and Damage Fund at the last COP27 engagement. This could ensure the development of regional programs and advance the ease of access to available finances and the strengthening of individual country responses, especially in times of unpredictability and rising threats of extreme weather events due to climate change. It is also worth noting, Excellencies, that all SCO member states, except a few, were part of the G77 forum, which showed exemplary cooperation at the COP27 under Pakistan's leadership of loss and damage and climate finance. It proved to us that when we work together in building critical mass at negotiations, we are able to achieve what no one else can. Let us build on this momentum and link it with our regional's vulnerability to ensure a better and more prosperous future for us all. Lastly, and thank you for your patience, I propose that we strengthen our voice for the idea of reforming international financial architecture, which was formed after the Bretton Woods system and after the Second World War in the last century. This could provide us with greater flexibility and agility in terms of accessing resources and opportunities to support our climate change adaptation and mitigation efforts. As you know, climate financing has become a chokehold on many pipelines where they need to be responsive in times of crisis and also to build adaptation plans and resilience capacity for countries that are increasingly becoming vulnerable to climate stress. And let me conclude by underscoring the need for effective utilization of this forum by leveraging our respective comparative advantages and sharing our best practices. We can work towards our common goal of mitigating and adapting to climate change, and we must act now to ensure a sustainable future for the generations to come. The future can be rewritten by us together at this and other forums. Thank you very much, Excellencies, Chair, ladies and gentlemen, for your patience.
वफाकी वजीर बराए माहौलियाती तब्दीली शेरी रहमान इजलास से खिताब कर रही थी। नाज़रीन, शंघाई ताउन तंजीम के रुकन ममालिक के वज़रा और एजेंसीज़ के सरबराहान का चौथा इजलास इस वक्त जारी है, जिसमें वफाकी वजीर ने कहा कि पाकिस्तान मौसमियाती तब्दीलियों से निपटने के लिए संजीदा इकदाम उठा रहा है। पाकिस्तान में प्लास्टिक बैग्स के इस्तेमाल में वाज़ी कमी देखी गई है। हमने तरक्याती मनसूबों को माहौल दोस्त बनाया है और दीगर जितने भी तरक्याती मनसूबे इस वक्त मुल्क में जारी हैं उनको भी माहौल दोस्त बनाया जा रहा है। वफाकी वजीर बराए माहौलियाती तब्दीली शेरी रहमान इजलास से खिताब कर रही थी। न्यूज़ स्टूडियो से फिल वक्त इतना ही।